So I guess what I'd like to do is like to have a fireside chat with you about how it feels to live in an aware relationship to life. Deeper and deeper. I'm trusting. I'm learning to trust. I've listened to you.
That helps to trust, yeah.
And I'm finding out what that means.
Yeah.
And I remember you would talk about courage at one time, and or maybe a lot, and I would say, well, what does he mean by courage? I don't feel like I know what that means. And the other day, it occurred to me that it might take the form of loving.
Sure.
That I need to have courage to love. And I'm not even sure what I mean by that, but it feels like even my responses with people on the street, my relationships require a certain courage to be vulnerable, to go there.
Yeah, to be what you really are.
Yeah.
To just be. And I know that kind of phrase is often thrown out with such casualness. Be what you are. And but when we're really taking it as meaningful, as like what you're saying, you've gone through that phase, which is a predictable phase. You hang out in sort of that transcendent absolute space, often for months or years, and then at some point, just developmentally, spiritually speaking, it's just time it starts to kind of come back down into humanity, and then the new movement becomes living it, not just experiencing it, but actually living it in all those little ways that you're talking about. The next person you meet, the next situation you're in. And at times it's very easy and simple and flowing, and at times it might take courage, a little bit of courage, to just be what you really are, which would maybe more accurately to say, to function from the truth of you, And what I saw is that these, for years in the past, I confused myself with all this kind of stuff because I thought about it in far too complicated of ways. And eventually what I came to see was that it was actually very simple, challenging at times, at least for a while, but ultimately very simple, which it came down to things like courage, it came down to things like functioning from the truest thing I know. That's another one of those things that sounds easy to say. Well, function from the truest thing. Everybody, that sounds good, okay. Da, da, da. But when you actually do that, the first thing you start to notice was, that word right there, in that conversation, that's when I started to say something less than the truest thing I know. What was that? Do you know what I mean? Just the truest thing I know, something as simple as that kind of honesty. Why was I 98% honest? Why wasn't I 100% honest? Not that I'm suggesting you get in a whole process about that, but I'm saying even when you just endeavor to bring that forward lightly, you start to see these things, right? You start to see those little moments. And that's when I think these very simple things, that's why, when I wrote The Way of Liberation, I came up with those foundational practices. And to be quite honest, when I was writing them, sometimes your unconscious is much smarter than your conscious. Sometimes it's much dumber, but I was writing those thinking, they'd be good foundational things. Like you could give these to anybody at any point in life. And, kid, if you want to have a better life, if you want to get through it in a way that you're more happy for you and the people around you, these 5 principles, these will help you out if you take them with any seriousness. As I was writing them, what I realized in the process of writing them, that was actually the post-awakening embodiment teaching. It wasn't just something you give anybody. What you could give it to somebody in first grade. I found on the web somebody used this as a model to manage their money with. They took Adyashanti's principles and they made, this is how you manage your money. What do you want the most? Always tell the truth, take responsibility, and I went, okay, cool, all right, whatever. But what I realized is, it's funny because I wrote, even though I lived them, and that's what I did when I was writing them, I didn't reflect on that was my path until I got halfway through them. And then I realized I was actually writing my own path, my own thing I use for embodiment. And they were, really, really, really simple. Like you said, you go down the street, you meet somebody. Well, what do I really value when I meet that person? What's the truest thing I could say to them? Not true as in some cosmic truth, but just true as in just operating from the deep place within the true place.
That's all I can find that's true.
Yeah.
Is moment to moment what's happening now.
Me too.